Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
Well, that is certainly a way to start things off.
Right. You listening to this right now, let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen a professional, high-stakes football match completely, and I mean entirely, abandon the fundamental concept of defending?
I genuinely don't think I have. Not at this level, anyway.
Because I am welcoming you to the absolute madness of the 2026 World Cup bronze medal match in Miami. Going through this massive stack of post-match reports and tactical breakdowns on my desk today, it is clear that what happened yesterday it was a complete departure from anything resembling structural discipline.
Oh, absolutely. It was just totally unhinged.
It was chaotic, it was lawless, and honestly, it was completely glorious to watch.
It really was a total anomaly in modern tournament football. I mean, when we look at the historical data for the World Cup, a third-place playoff is usually, well, a pretty subdued affair.
Yeah, usually the teams are just, exhausted and ready to go home.
Exactly. But we saw England secure a bronze medal with a 6-4 victory over France.
10 goals, just unbelievable.
Right. 10 goals in a single match between two of the most technically gifted squads on the planet. To put the statistical rarity of that into perspective, you will often review entire knockout stage brackets that do not produce 10 combined goals.
Wow. Yeah, that puts it in perspective.
So seeing that volume packed into 90 minutes on a single afternoon in Florida is just unprecedented.
I am looking at the timeline of the first half in these match reports, and it reads like a typographical error.
Yeah.
If you looked away to answer a text, you missed a scoring sequence.
You really did. The pacing was frantic.
How exactly did this demolition play out in the first 45 minutes?
Well, the first half was essentially a masterclass in exploiting open space. England was up 4-0 before the referee even blew the whistle for halftime.
Wait, 4-0 in the first half against France?
Yeah, the analytics show Declan Rice initiated the sequence in the 3rd minute with a strike from the edge of the box. And then Ezri Konsa doubled the lead in the 18th minute, and from there, the tactical shape of the French defense just completely disintegrated.
Like they forgot they were playing in the World Cup.
Basically. It allowed Bukayo Saka to find massive pockets of space. He scores in the 37th minute, and then exploits this highly disjointed offside trap to score again in stoppage time at 45+1.
Okay, we need to pause and explain the mechanics of this, because professional defenses do not just accidentally concede 4 goals in a single half.
No, they definitely do not.
What was the underlying tactical shift that caused the French defense to look so invisible?
To understand the mechanism behind this 6-4 scoreline, we have to contrast it with the data from England's semifinal match against Argentina.
Right, the one they lost 2-1.
Exactly. In that 2-1 loss, England manager Thomas Tuchel utilized what we call a low block. He dropped his defensive line incredibly deep, right to the edge of their own penalty area.
Very conservative.
Yeah, and he used 2 holding midfielders to clog the passing lanes. It was a strategy of preservation. But yesterday, the tactical heat maps show Tuchel did the exact opposite.
You just let the handbrake off.
He really did. He pushed his fullbacks aggressively into the attacking third. He removed the defensive screen in the midfield. By doing so, he mathematically overloaded the French penalty area with attackers.
It's like removing the load-bearing walls of a house just so you can build a massive, sprawling patio.
That is a very accurate analogy.
Sure, the outdoor space looks incredibly impressive, and you're throwing a great party, but the entire structure is completely exposed to collapsing if the wind blows the wrong way.
That is a perfect way to visualize it, and the wind definitely blew back in the second half. We also have to factor in the psychological data we are reading regarding the French squad.
Right, because there was a huge narrative hanging over this game for France.
Exactly. This 10-goal thriller was Didier Deschamps' final game. He is stepping down after a 14-year era as head coach.
Which is an eternity in international football.
It is. The reports from the French camp suggest the emotional burden of ending a historic, trophy-laden tenure by conceding 4 rapid-fire goals triggered a massive, almost reckless overcorrection in the second half.
Which explains why the second half felt less like a World Cup match and more like a playground pickup game where everyone collectively forgets the rules.
Yeah, everyone just stopped tackling.
How did the scoring unfold once France decided to abandon their own structure?
Well, France came out highly aggressive, essentially leaving their center backs isolated one-on-one. Bradley Barcola scores, Ousmane Dembele gets one in, and the midfield simply ceases to exist.
It just turned into a track meet.
A total track meet. Eventually, Saka seals a hat trick with an 87th minute penalty. And finally, Jude Bellingham scores at 90 plus 8 to make it 6-4.
I have to challenge the narrative surrounding Thomas Tuchel here, based on the very analytics you just mentioned.
Okay, let's hear it.
The press is calling this 6-4 win a brilliant display of tactical freedom. But if the data proves this England squad is lethal when they are allowed to play in an open, aggressive system, isn't it essentially managerial malpractice that Tuchel used a conservative low block against Argentina?
That is a very strong word, but I get your point.
I mean, why couldn't he harness this exact bravery in the semifinal?
That is the core debate raging in the tactical columns this morning. The short answer is cognitive bias.
Cognitive bias. How so?
Well, in high-stakes environments, human beings and football managers are no exception, tend to prioritize risk avoidance over potential reward. In a semifinal, a single defensive error eliminates you.
Right. The stakes are just paralyzing.
Exactly. The fear of that error paralyzes decision-making. Tuchel defaulted to a system designed to prevent loss rather than a system designed to secure victory.
But in the third-place game, that fear is gone.
Precisely. In a third-place playoff, the threat of elimination is completely removed. It is a psychological vacuum. So yes, by utilizing this aggressive, high-risk system in Miami, Tuchel essentially handed his critics the empirical proof that he possessed a devastating attacking force all along.
But lacked the courage to deploy it when the stakes were highest.
That is the argument, yes.
It has to be maddening for the supporters. You win 6-4, you collect a bronze medal, but everyone in the stadium is just whispering, why didn't we play like this on Wednesday?
It is a very bittersweet victory in that regard.
By the way, if you were watching this absolute carnival of a match in real time, you were undoubtedly coordinating the chaos with your friends on vailychat.web.app.
I saw so many people talking about it there.
The platform's servers were practically overheating with every goal. But looking at the broader historical context in our sources, a game entirely devoid of defensive structure creates a very specific kind of laboratory.
It really does.
And into that open space stepped a player perfectly engineered to exploit it, rewriting the history books in the process.
You are absolutely right. The defensive vacuum we just analyzed provided the perfect condition for Kylian Mbappe to execute an individual performance that will be studied for decades.
I mean, he was just inevitable out there.
Amidst the structural collapse of the French team, Mbappe essentially operated as an isolated attacking engine in the second half. He scored twice first in the 48th minute and again in the 66th minute.
We need to pull out the historical data sheets for this because the milestones he just shattered are staggering.
They really are historic.
First, those 2 goals push Mbappe to 10 goals for this 2026 tournament alone. That gives him the outright lead for the Golden Boot over Lionel Messi, who sits at 8.
Which is incredible on its own.
But the second milestone is the one that alters the landscape of the sport. Those 2 strikes bring Mbappe's career World Cup goal tally to 22 goals.
22 goals. Let that sink in.
He has officially surpassed Lionel Messi to become the all-time top scorer in the history of the FIFA World Cup.
The magnitude of 22 goals is difficult to process without context.
Right, because most players are lucky to get 2 or 3 in their whole career.
Exactly. And Mbappe is 27 years old. From a physiological standpoint, he is dead center in his athletic prime.
He still has so much time left.
By shattering a record that took previous generations a lifetime to build, he has unequivocally established his baseline as the most lethal attacking player alive.
It is hard to argue with the math.
And while the post-match analysis heavily focuses on Deschamps leaving a disorganized defense behind, we have to look at the asset portfolio he's handing over to the next manager.
The attacking core is just mouthwatering.
It is. He is leaving behind a youthful, highly modular attacking core, completely centered around the greatest goal scorer in tournament history.
And the reports across multiple European outlets are all pointing to Zinedine Zidane inheriting that specific portfolio.
Yes, and Zidane's managerial profile is vastly different from Deschamps'.
How so? What does the data say about his style?
Well, Zidane doesn't rely on rigid, suffocating tactical frameworks. His defining trait as a manager is his ability to organize space for luxury talent.
Meaning he knows how to let the stars be stars.
Exactly. He understands how to balance the egos and the spatial requirements of world-class forwards. If Zidane can design a functional defensive spine to support this unbelievable firepower, France immediately enters the Euro 2028 cycle with a mathematical advantage.
Because Mbappe easily has 2, perhaps 3 more World Cup tournaments left in his physiological window.
Without a doubt.
Trying to stop Mbappe's movement feels less about sports and more about physics at this point. Reading the scouting reports, it's not just about his sprint speed. It's like he exerts a gravitational pull on the defensive line.
That is a great way to put it.
If a center back gets too close, they get pulled into his orbit, lose their balance, and he just slingshots past them into open space.
He creates panic just by being on the pitch.
But I have to push back on the validity of this record, given the exact context we just discussed.
Okay, let's look at the context.
He broke the all-time scoring record in a 6-4 match where both teams essentially stopped tackling. It was a glorified exhibition.
I see where you were going with this.
From a purely analytical standpoint, does breaking the most prestigious record in the sport during a match with 0 defensive resistance diminish the achievement?
It is a valid question, and it is one the analytics community is currently dissecting. However, the biometric data from the match actually refutes the idea that Mbappe was just casually jogging through an exhibition.
Wait, really? What did the biometrics show?
Elite forwards typically experience a sharp decline in pressing intensity and sprint velocity when their team goes down 4-0. The psychological motivation drops.
Which makes sense. You assume the game is over.
Right, but Mbappe's physical output metrics actually spiked in the second half. His top sprint speeds and off-ball runs increased.
So he was actually trying harder when they were down by 4.
Yes. The record book does not calculate the defensive intensity of the opponent. It measures the mechanical inevitability of the player. The fact that he was relentlessly hunting for goals in a structurally broken game, down by 4, proves his elite psychological baseline.
He simply does not have an off switch.
He really doesn't.
And if you want to see the friction that this milestone is causing, the debate over whether these 22 goals make Mbappe the undisputed World Cup go is absolutely tearing up the forums on vailychat.web.app right now.
Oh, I'm sure it is very heated over there.
These statistical models being debated over there are fascinating. But the most compelling part of this narrative is that Mbappe might hold the record today at 22 goals, but the man sitting right behind him at 21 goals gets the very last word.
Exactly. Lionel Messi has one final match today to answer back.
Talk about cinematic timing.
The scheduling of this tournament has inadvertently created the ultimate statistical showdown, perfectly teeing up the final.
Which brings us to the climax of this entire 5-week cycle. Today, we get the World Cup final between Argentina and Spain at MetLife Stadium in New York and New Jersey.
It is going to be a monumental clash.
Looking at the cultural and historical data, this is a massive collision. It is the first all-Spanish-speaking final since the inaugural tournament in 1930 between Uruguay and Argentina.
That is a brilliant historical note.
How did these two specific tactical philosophies navigate the bracket to get here?
It is a phenomenal contrast in methodologies. You have two reigning continental champions. Argentina arrives as the defending World Cup and Copa America champions.
They just know how to win tournaments.
They do. Their progression has been defined by resilience and spatial awareness. They secured a highly tense 2-1 comeback victory over England in the semifinal.
And Messi was heavily involved in that.
Absolutely. The analytics from that match show Argentina didn't dominate possession, but they maximized their transition moments, fueled entirely by two highly complex assists from Lionel Messi.
He just finds passing lanes that shouldn't exist.
Enzo Fernandez and Lautaro Martinez provided the finishing touches, but Messi was the absolute architect of the geometry.
Meanwhile, the data on Spain is almost frightening.
Frightening is the word.
They are the reigning European champions, and they are walking onto the pitch at MetLife on a record-tying 37-match unbeaten streak.
37 matches. It is staggering.
They dismantled France 2-0 in their semifinal. The reports describe their performance as a masterclass in suffocating the opposition.
Suffocation is the precise term. Spain does not play a chaotic, transition-heavy style. They utilize a synchronized high press combined with a very specific midfield structure.
Explain that structure for us, because it is key to how they dominate.
For anyone who doesn't spend their weekends buried in tactical blogs, the defining feature of Spain's system is their midfield pivot.
The pivot.
Right. This is the player, or sometimes two players, sitting just in front of the center backs. They act as the hinge of the entire team.
So they control the flow of the entire game from that deep position.
Exactly. When Spain loses the ball, the pivot immediately steps forward to compress the space, winning the ball back usually within 6 seconds. It is a highly organized, coolly calculated machine machine designed to monopolize possession.
So it's essentially a localized weather system versus a lightning strike.
I like that.
Spain is this constant, enveloping high-pressure system that slowly starves you of oxygen, and Argentina is relying on raw grit, emotional intensity, and the sudden, unpredictable lightning strike of Messi finding a gap in that pressure.
That is the tactical battle in a nutshell.
But while the tactical battle on the pitch is fascinating, the logistical documents in our source stack highlight a massive controversy regarding the environment of the match itself.
Yes, the governing body has fundamentally altered the structure of the event.
They really have.
For the first time in FIFA history, we are seeing the integration of a Super Bowl-style halftime show right in the middle of the final.
Which is just wild to think about for a soccer match.
It is an 11-minute, highly engineered production curated by Chris Martin of Coldplay.
And the sheer volume of artists they are packing into this window is staggering.
It is a massive lineup.
The confirmed roster includes Madonna, Shakira, BTS.
All global icons.
Right, and crucially, Justin Bieber is joining the performance alongside Burna Boy, Gustavo Dudamel, and the PS22 Chorus, all performing alongside Coldplay.
It is an absolute pop culture explosion forcefully inserted into a soccer match.
And this insertion is causing a massive rift in the global sports community.
Oh, the traditionalists are furious.
They view this as the aggressive commercialization of the sport's most critical moment. But the concern isn't just cultural, is it?
No, it is highly physiological. In standard professional football, the halftime break is strictly 15 minutes.
And the players are very accustomed to that exact timing.
Exactly. That window is precisely calculated for rest, rehydration, and tactical adjustments. To construct and deconstruct a stage for Justin Bieber and BTS, broadcasting logs indicate the break will be extended to anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes.
I understand the purists being protective of the sport's traditions, but looking at the demographic data, I have to push back hard on this.
Go ahead.
You have a tournament that expanded to 48 teams. You just executed 104 matches over 5 weeks. The financial and viewership metrics show hundreds of millions of people tuning in who do not regularly watch the sport.
That is true. The casual audience is massive.
Why shouldn't the largest sporting event on the planet leverage the largest cultural spectacle? An extended halftime show captures the casual viewer who might not understand the intricacies of Spain's midfield pivot, but will absolutely stay glued to the screen for Shakira.
It definitely broadens the appeal.
It transforms a standard sports broadcast into a mandatory global event.
The counter-argument from the sports science community, which is heavily cited in these medical reports, focuses on the players' bodies.
Right. What happens during that extra 10 minutes of waiting?
When elite athletes stop moving for 25 minutes, lactic acid begins to pool. Core body temperatures drop. Muscle elasticity decreases.
So they essentially get cold.
Yes. The data shows a measurable spike in soft tissue injuries when halftime intervals are unexpectedly extended. Critics argue that forcing athletes to endure physical cooling just to accommodate a pop concert prioritizes entertainment revenue over the integrity of the competition itself.
That is a fascinating physiological point, though I suspect the casual viewer is going to be far more focused on the pyrotechnics than lactic acid buildup.
You are probably right about that.
And honestly, if you are organizing your living room right now, you need to coordinate your final watch parties and share your live reactions to that exact halftime show using vailychat.web.app.
It is the perfect second screen experience.
Whether you are analyzing the tactical shifts or critiquing Madonna's choreography, it is the only place to see exactly how the globe is processing the event in real time.
It creates an incredible dichotomy for tonight's broadcast. You have the immense historical gravity of Lionel Messi fighting to reclaim his scoring record and secure back-to-back World Cups, set entirely against the backdrop of a neon-lit, highly commercialized pop concert.
It perfectly encapsulates the dual nature of this 2026 tournament.
It really does. It is sport meeting pure spectacle.
It forces us to ask a much larger question about the trajectory of the sport as we close this chapter. With the tournament expanding its footprint, yielding these chaotic, structurally broken 10-goal playoff matches, and now introducing massive, rhythm-disrupting halftime spectacles, has the World Cup fundamentally altered its DNA?
That is the big question going forward.
Have we fully transitioned from a pure athletic competition into an escalating global entertainment product? And if this hyper-commercialized model is the new baseline, will the hosts in 2028 and 2030 be forced to continually prioritize spectacle over sport just to maintain our collective attention.
It is a heavy concept to analyze as the confetti prepares to fall tonight.
It really is. But before you finalize your tactical predictions for this historic MetLife final, and absolutely before that massive halftime stage is rolled onto the pitch, you need to grab the best slice in town by heading over to Pazzo's Pizza in Avon. Get the pizza, get the group chat ready, and settle in, because the whistle is about to blow.